Welcome to another edition of Center Court. I'm your host, Alex Meacham. Today's show, we're going to talk about high school basketball and the preview for this season. First, a couple things I want to go over. Today I'm wearing a breast cancer t-shirt, and I'm also being a part of the No Shave November. A couple causes that I think are very important, and it's really cool how sports adapt things like that with breast cancer research. You see a lot of football teams, basketball teams do things with pink. And I think that's really cool, and it's just really cool that athletics can be a part of that. I also have on my pink CP3 shoes just to kind of match everything up, kind of, look cool. But first, I want to introduce our new intern at the show, Jalen Johnson. Jalen, actually, I'm going to call you out. Take off the headset. Come here so everybody can see you. She is at the University of Cincinnati, and she is studying journalism. And I met her at one of my speeches at the University of Cincinnati, and I was so impressed with her that I asked her to be a part of the show, and she agreed. And so, Jalen, why don't you come on over, say hello to everybody. Oh, you got, now can you show them the dance you did before? How do we do? That's officially the center court dance, so thank you. I appreciate that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into our interview. We're going to go over the river right now. We're going to talk about Northern Kentucky high school basketball. I'd like to bring in a good friend. I think is going to be an excellent guest. His name is Rick. I got to like stretch to say this name. Broering.
Well done. Well done.
Did I do a good job?
You did it well. I'm impressed.
Thank you. Welcome, Rick. How you doing, man?
Excellent.
Some love here.
Appreciate it, Meach.
All good.
Thanks for having me on.
All good. All good. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you do? I know you're the publisher of Northern Kentucky Fan.
Right. At NKY Fan, we basically what we did is we felt like there were a lot of gaps. There's good recaps and information out there in this day and age with people submitting stats and things online, but there's not a lot of entertainment. We see ESPN with all these videos and highlights of players and cool in-depth pieces, and I don't feel like there's good entertaining content for high school sports. Okay. And you know as well as I do, high school sports can be every bit as entertaining, as exciting as a college and professional. So what we've done is we've tried to take it to that next level of coverage and provide highlight tapes of kids, mixtapes, analysis, breakdowns. We have a magazine that goes in every Skyline and La Rosa's in Northern Kentucky every week. So
good deal.
Yeah, just trying to fill the void there in high school athletics coverage.
And so tell everybody how they can go on and check all that out.
Yeah, nkyfan.com, where you can find us. Follow us on Twitter at nkyfan. We've got over 5,000 followers on there. Okay. Facebook, we're on there. And then, like I said, the magazine, the print copy, if you're old school and you like to feel the pages still.
My dad still does that.
You can pick that up in any Skyline or La Rosa's restaurant while you're waiting for your three-way or your large pizza.
Cool. Yeah. I like how you did that because those restaurants are really into the high school sports in our area.
Skyline and La Rosa's have been great corporate sponsors to work with, and they've just stepped up to the plate and said, this is something we think is important, not just that the coverage exists, but supporting high school athletes.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Northern Kentucky hoops. And I'm a fan of Northern Kentucky hoops. I know a lot about the Cincinnati area and Southwest Ohio, but I think there's some great basketball in Northern Kentucky this year. And you're the expert. I know you know a lot about that, know a lot about the players. Just tell me a little bit about your excitement and some of your thoughts on basketball this year.
Well, you're exactly right. I think this is one of the most exciting years we've had in Northern Kentucky. It's a little top-heavy, but there are some really good teams that are close together there at the top. And then after them, there's kind of a second tier of teams where it's 6 or 7 or 8 different teams could all come out of the top of that. So it's going to be exciting both in the sense of who's going to be the best, but then also who's going to kind of emerge out of this secondary group of teams as well.
Sure. So why don't you give us your breakdown. So Rick's going to give us a breakdown of his let's just do top 5 teams in Northern Kentucky, okay?
Right, yeah.
Why don't you give it to us?
Well, starting out, I think you have to go with the team that won it all last year was Holmes, and they've got James Bolden, who's one of the most exciting players in the area, back. I did not take them number 1, though. The team that probably gave them the best contest, they played twice last year in fantastic games, was Newcath. And Newcath brings everything back. Plus, they've added Tanner Mavis and Grant Mavis from Walton Verona, who are 2 talented guards that can really score, but also are great teammates. They implemented seamlessly into this game plan that Newcath wants to run, and they're running that ball screen motion offense with a couple big men Thing is, they've got 3 kids over 6'5" that are really good that they can start. They've also got 3 guards that would start for anyone in Northern Kentucky. So they can kind of go with a big lineup, a small lineup, and give almost anyone trouble. So that's why Newcath is my #1 team. Drew McDonald is a Division I prospect getting looks in the post for Newcath. He's about 6'6", 6'7", big, strong kid, but really skilled, going to shoot the 3 a lot this year. And then Jake Schulte, 6'7", athletic, more of a rim runner type of player. He just signed with USC Upstate the past week. So they're excited for him, too, to see what he's going to do this year. And then watch out for another young kid that's big, Ben Wire, who transferred from Highlands a couple years ago, played a lot last year as a freshman. He's only a sophomore. He's going to get a lot of minutes. He's got a lot of upside as well.
And I know some of those Newcath kids with Jake and Tanner, those guys are high-character kids. You know, they played in our program this summer with Shining Star, and very high-character kids.
Well, and that's why why it's hard for me not to rank Newcath #1 because you look at these kids, it's like, man, they've got all this talent. They've got 6 really good players, 7 or 8 that could really contribute.
Right.
And they're great teammates. All these kids want to win. They're at practice every day. They're trying to make each other better, and that's why it's tough not to choose Newcath.
And so you have Holmes second.
Yes, and James Bolden, obviously, the most exciting player in Northern Kentucky. He's got offers from Purdue, Xavier, getting interest from lots of high major schools. I mean, super quick with the ball in his hands, but can actually shoot it from the outside as well. And he's really worked on his bounce this year. I went over to Red and White Night at Holmes the other night for their inter-squad scrimmage, and beforehand, he was just throwing down dunks with ease off the oops and everything. And he's only 5'10", so he's going to be fun to watch as well.
Now, you have Covcath third.
Yes.
And that was an exciting game last year with Covcath and Holmes.
It was an exceptional game, and it really is every year, because here's the thing about these teams is they're in the 35th district. Typically, you have only 2 teams make it out of each district to the regional tournament in Northern Kentucky, and in the 35th district, out of the 4 teams, you typically have 3 of the top 5 teams in the entire region in that one district, meaning one of them doesn't even get to the regional tournament. Last year, that was the case with Holy Cross. They didn't make it. Holmes and Covcath had that big battle where Rusatz made the shot at the buzzer. Nick Rusatz, point guard, made the shot at the buzzer from half court to win it in the districts, but then Holmes got the last laugh and won the region and went on to the state tournament. So I'm looking for some more exciting battles between those 2 teams. But yeah, Covcath, it all starts with point guard Nick Rusatz. He signed with Findlay, Division II squad. He's a little small, and if he wasn't, he'd be a Division I point guard without question, because he does everything well on the court. He can defend, he can handle, he makes his teammates better, and he can really shoot the ball from the outside now, which wasn't the case 2 years ago when he first surfaced in Northern Kentucky.
And, you know, Nick was on the show.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
We had him on the show, and I think, you know, Nick's a dynamic player, and to have him and Bolden and just seeing those guys play against each other is going to be really fun to watch.
It's going to be a great matchup, and hopefully they'll guard each other. You know, you've got the refs calling things tighter this year. They're putting an emphasis on calling those hand checks and everything. So you might see coaches try to avoid the marquee matchups because they need their player to stay in the game and not pick up fouls. But I hope we get to see those 2 go head-to-head at some point this year, and I think we will, especially when it comes to tournament time. But, you know, we mentioned Nick Rusatz. Bo Shu, a 6'5" junior, rising, really athletic, working on his skill set, and I think he's a kid that he showed flashes last year of greatness, that he could really be an elite player in Northern Kentucky. He needs to take it to the next level this year and become more consistent, but he's got a ton of upside. And then also, I really like Mark Schultz down low for him. He's a little undersized, only 6'3", 6'4", but man, he bangs and he works hard and he's physical, and he's a great teammate because he knows his role and he's willing to do what the team needs. He doesn't want his shots. He wants to rebound, be tough, and finish inside when he gets the ball dropped off to him.
And you can see why I wanted Rick to be on this show. He knows his stuff all the way from these kids' tendencies to what school they're going to for college. I mean, he really studies and knows his stuff. So I really appreciate you coming on because you know your stuff. Let's get into the 4th and 5th team you have here.
Yeah, at number 4, and this is tough. These 2 teams were kind of battling out in my preseason rankings. I was back and forth. I had Dixie originally at 4, watched both teams practice, watched some scrimmages, and really I just like what I'm seeing out of Cooper. So I've taken them 4th. And it all starts with them with Zach McNeil. They lost a big-time competitor and shot maker in A.J. Collins last year, and a lot of people are down on them because of that. Plus they lost Louis Maniaci. He was 6'7", playing Division II at Lincoln Memorial, and a shot blocker, rim runner, dunker. And he had a great year, and so did A.J., and he was a really big-time competitor. So people are thinking they lost a lot, but Zach McNeil makes up for A.J. Collins, I think, because not only can he shoot just as well, not only could he make those big shots, but he wants the ball in his hands exactly like AJ did. He's a big competitor, great teammate, knows where everyone else is supposed to be. So I think Zach McNeil, he's one of my top 5 players in Northern Kentucky, and I think he'll do a great job of leading Cooper. But the one kid to watch out for that I don't think a lot of people are expecting is Colin Hathorn. He is a big 6'5" kid. He's thick and strong, and he was a guy who came in and banged and rebounded last year. But this year, he's increased his athleticism, he's increased his skill set. He's going to play a little more on the perimeter, but he's been dunking everything in the preseason. He broke a backboard at practice a couple weeks ago. So
were you there for that?
I was not there for that.
But you heard about it, obviously.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the new backboard after they replaced it, and it was nice and shiny. But he was dunking everything.
That's hard to do with those breakaways these days.
Man, it is, especially in a practice. They're just doing a drill, and he's a kid that weighs.
How big is he?
220 pounds, 6'5", very strong, but he's got a lot of bounce now, and he's really worked on that in the offseason.
I have to check this kid out. You said he plays a lot of baseball too.
Yeah, big-time baseball prospect. He's getting some looks from Marshall and other Division I schools there.
Okay, I have to check him out. Dixie, let's talk a little bit about Dixie.
Yeah, with Dixie, it all starts with Brandon Hatton. He's signed to play for Vermont, a team that just took Duke down to the wire the other night.
And could have won if they had Hatton in the corner.
Yeah, if they had a shooter like Brandon Hatton, they might have had the right guy to draw the play up for. And that's exactly what he is. One of the best scorer, actually the best scorer that I've covered at the high school level since I've been doing this last 7 years. He's a very strong guard. A lot of people see him and he doesn't quite look like what I was expecting. It's like, yeah, we'll just wait till he starts playing because he's very thick, he's strong, he's bulky, but he can still cross you up, has a quick first step, and can get to the rim. But man, he's got range out to 25 feet, and when he's on, there's nothing you can do about it. He put 32 on Newcath in one of the first games of the year last year and was really one of the best scoring displays I've seen.
Now, I know he's been a little banged up over the years, and is he pretty healthy right now? Because that's key for Dixie to be successful, that he's healthy, correct?
Yeah, you're right about that. He's actually battled some injuries the last 2 years. Really, he had a broken collarbone issue that was kind of nagging him, and then he had a back problem that's really been ongoing for a while now, and he decided before this season to go ahead and get that fixed. He just had that surgery before the season, so he's out of shape right now. He's still working to come back, but I think it's going to pay off in the long run because he said he's finally pain-free, which is enabling him to work out harder, longer to get himself back into shape. And I think that's going to pay big dividends for him down the line, later in the season, maybe not the first few weeks.
Sure. So now you've mentioned some guys already, but what I want to do after we talked about the top 5 teams, I want to talk about your top players, the players to watch, because I think it's important that our audience knows and who these players are, so when they're at games they can watch them. So why don't you go through some of them you already named, some of them you haven't yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at NKY Fan, we're going to be releasing our top 50 players. That's coming out this week in our new issue. But starting,
we can get a sneak peek of.
Yeah,
okay.
But I'm going to give you a sneak peek right here.
Okay,
so
good.
we already talked about James Bolden's number 1. Brandon Hatton from Dixie is number 2. Nick Rusat from Covcath, he's my number 3. Drew McDonald from Newcath that we mentioned is 4. Zach McNeil from Cooper is 5th. After that, Jake Schulte from Newcath is my 6th guy. And then here's a new name we haven't discussed yet. Number 7 is Brendan Stanley from Boone County. He's the guy that's played varsity basketball since his freshman year, and man, I know I keep bringing this term up, but he's a great teammate. I mean, the most vocal kid on the court, always pumping his teammates up, and he's done a lot of losing in the past 2 years on some weaker teams, and this is the year where he's an upperclassman now. He's been their leader. He was their leader last year on a bad team. He's fought through that adversity. He knows what it takes. I think he's going to take a more experienced this group and really make a run at that 33rd district title. He's got enough talent to do so.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and then after that, I've got Corey Holbrook from Campbell County out of the 10th region. Campbell County's been a little up and down the past couple years, but he's a guy that Nate McGovney now has graduated and gone on, has sort of been in the limelight and been their go-to scorer. Holbrook sort of took that over last year while McGovney was out with injuries, and he's ready this year. I think he's got that mindset now that, hey, this is my team. I am the guy now, and I think he's ready to lead it. He's a great scorer, can really shoot it, but can also score off the dribble. Good
deal. So with that, let's talk a little bit about some of the matchups that you look forward to seeing with, whether it's Newcath and who do you see as the big-time games during the regular season we need to go out and watch?
Well, I think everyone's waiting to see what happens between Newcath and Holmes this year. And I can tell you right now, when those team rankings come out or people see this show and they hear that I have Newcath number 1, they're going to ask, why isn't Holmes number 1? And the Newcath people would have done the same thing if I would have put Holmes number 1.
Right.
And it makes sense. They're both really good teams. And I think with Bolden, he's the best player in Northern Kentucky and the toughest to stop. If he wants to get off for a huge game scoring, it's tough to stop him from doing so. So that gives Holmes kind of an edge in that sense, and we saw that in 9th Region Tournament last year. But overall, I think Newcath is the better team this year, has more depth, and I think they can control Bolden or contain him enough to pull that off. So I'm really looking forward to that game. And another game that we've already talked about too is that Covcath-Holmes rematch. They had some great battles last year. You've got Bolden going against Rusatz. You've got Shu going against Quentin Shames inside for Holmes, who's a guy who we haven't talked about, but 6'5", super athletic, good rebounder. He's going to have to step in for Chris Engelman and replace that production inside for the Bulldogs. And I think that's going to be a fun matchup to watch as well, as that Holmes-Covcath, just because there's so much history in that rivalry. And then something kind of under the radar here that's always fun to watch is the 33rd District. I think Cooper's the class of that district, but this year I think there's going to be some really good battles between teams like Connor and Boone and Ryle. Ryle's an upstart program, doesn't have a lot of talent right now, but David McFarland has taken over, and he's going to do a great job coaching them. I think they'll battle. And that 33rd...
Tanner White.
Exactly. Tanner White and Will Sturr. So they've got some talent, and with David coaching and a little new mindset, it's tougher to scout. You don't know exactly what they're going to run and things yet with a new coach.
Right.
So
they might surprise some
I
people.
think they might surprise some people, and that district is always super competitive, and there's a lot of parity anyway. So I look for those games to be pretty interesting this year as well.
Well, you've done a great job in breaking down Northern Kentucky basketball and players. Like that was great, and I appreciate it. But every guest that comes on has to sign the basketball. So this will be, you told me before we started filming, when I asked you, had you ever signed an autograph, and you said just too many to count? Is that right?
Lost track.
Lost
track.
That's right. Well, whatever number we're on.
One more?
We're going to one more. And then we always ask, every guest that comes on, we ask them a Jay-Z question.
Okay.
And actually, I'm not going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you to tell me, Watch the Throne. You're familiar with Watch the Throne?
I absolutely am.
Yep. What's your favorite song off Watch the Throne, and why?
Well, here's the thing. It's not actually a full song. I was really disappointed. I think Beach is it Beach is Better?
That's off of Magna Carta Holy
Grail. I'm sorry. You're talking about Watch the Throne.
Yes,
you're
the
going
Jay-Z
back.
Kanye.
Okay.
Take it back a little bit.
I'd go Murder to Excellence, probably. I love the juxtaposition of the two different beats coming together. I like the way they molded that. And I also really like kind of the idea of, if you listen to the title of the song, it explains what you're about. Like, it really does go with it. You know, the sort of the murder, the just a grimy, hard beat, and then it comes in with that beautiful music afterwards. It's like, man, this was really well put together.
See, he knows his Jay-Z music too. That's really why I had him on here, was to talk about Jay-Z. No, I'm kidding. But so we want to thank Rick for coming on again, and please check out anything that he posts and put up. Tell them again how they can go on.
Yeah, NKYFan, NKYFan.com. You can follow us on Twitter at NKYFan, and find us on Facebook as well.
Absolutely. Love to have you on again. We'll talk a little bit more later when we get towards the playoffs.
Sounds good.
And do that. So everybody stay tuned. Coming up next, we're going to go back over the river to Ohio, Southwest Ohio, and talk to Rich Hoyt. See you soon. Welcome back to Center Court. I'm your host, Alex Meacham. I'd like to bring in our next guest. We're going to talk a little bit of Cincinnati hoops. Bring in my good friend, Rich Hoyt. What's going on, man?
What's up, Meach?
Good.
How you doing?
Good. How you been?
Excellent.
Good. You have a lot of things going on.
I got a lot of things going on. Just took over a new job as a principal over in Northern Kentucky at a great Catholic school over there, St. Agnes. And just as of Tuesday, November 26th, published a new book.
Let's let everybody see that.
Finishing the Job.
Tell a little bit about the book here.
So Finishing the Job is the story of the 2012 Summit Country Day Silver Knights State Championship basketball team. Of course, they had a magical run that year, and it was inspired by a great man, Rob Herzl. Rob's son Holden was starting center on that team in 2012. Rob succumbed to a battle with cancer at the very beginning of the season, passed away on November 11, 2011. Rob played on the last Summit state finalist team in 1980. His team lost a heartbreaking overtime game that season. Rob wrote a blog during the last year and a half of his life. Used parts of that blog to tie into the whole story with the season. With the time leading up to the 2011-12 season. Just a great family, the Herzl family, a great story Summit Country Day was in 2012.
And we're going to bring Rich back on at some point, and we're going to do actually an episode on books And we're going to have you talk in detail about that. And we've got something in common, not only being published authors, but also Roger Bacon.
Yes, absolutely. I was an assistant coach at Roger Bacon, your alma mater. I was on the girls' staff in 2001, 2002, the year that Roger Bacon beat LeBron. Joined the boys' staff the summer afterwards, coached on the boys' staff for about 5 years. Learned a lot about basketball at Roger Bacon. It was a great place.
Absolutely.
And that led me into being the head coach at Summit, where I was for 4 years. And that's a little bit of my background and some of the insider knowledge I had with regards to the 2011-12 Summit team as well.
No doubt. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the area, and we could probably do an hour's show between Rick and you and all the great basketball in our area and players. Let's talk a little bit about some of the top teams you think will come out this year to people really need to go out there and watch.
Well, I think first and foremost it starts with Moeller, like it does many years. Moeller's got an outstanding team, obviously very well coached with Carl Kramer. Grant Benzinger, an outstanding guard, probably one of the best shooters in the city, headed to play at Wright State next year. And Nate Fowler is their beast in the middle. So they got a really nice inside-out combo there, and they got a lot of pieces around it. So Moeller's going to be very difficult to beat this year. One of the teams that I really like as well at the Division I level is Lakota West. I think they've got some nice pieces. Tyler Williams, Tyler Bowling are back, really, really good players, and Sean Van Winkle, I think one of the better coaches in the area as well.
He does a nice job.
I really like Lakota West to be successful, make a run at the Division I level, possibly win the GMC this year.
Sure. That GMC is going to be a pretty tough league. Who are some of the teams? I know we were talking earlier a little bit about Fairfield, and I know Oak Hills will always be well coached with Mike Price.
Yep, Oak Hills will be very well coached. Mike Price, your guy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for him. Fairfield, I think, as well, is an extremely well-coached team with Tim Austin. I think one of the best coaches in the area. Hasn't been a head coach for very long, but in the short time that he has been at Fairfield, led them to the Final Four a couple years ago. He's got Tim Fleming back, one of the best guards in the city as well. So I look for Fairfield to compete in the GMC. Of course, you got Middletown as well, led by perhaps the best player in the area, and Vince Edwards, headed to Purdue. So that GMC is going to be pretty competitive as usual this year.
And without a doubt. And Princeton's tough. Ryan Bricking at Princeton and Cole Rain, those teams. It'll be an exciting league to watch.
Yeah, I can't remember how many teams tied for the conference last year. I think it was 4 teams. It was such a competitive conference last year. And it's just a high level of Division I basketball, the GMC.
And with the GCL, just jumping back to that with Moeller, there are also some great teams. We were talking a little bit about LaSalle as well and what they have going on. It'd be interesting to see what they do this year with the injury. Larkin.
Yeah, the injury to Jeff Larkin, their senior football injury, an ACL. But Dan Fleming is always going to have his teams ready. They're always so much fun to watch play basketball, so well coached. They're up and down, style of play, get after you, press you for 32 minutes. Jeff's younger brother, Jeremy, really nice player as well. They'll have a lot of pieces. They'll be fun to watch. I'm sure they'll compete with Moeller for that division title. St. Next, another team to watch. Roderick Mills, a nice player.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that GCL South, obviously always one of the best conferences in the state.
Yeah, and Elder's always tough. It's always tough to win, at the pit.
Absolutely. Some of the great gyms in the state of Ohio in the GCL South.
No doubt. Yeah, so just looking at some other teams and some other players. Turpin High School, we had Zach McCormick on the show. And Zach is one of the most dynamic players to watch in the city. I mean, if he's got the ball in his hand and he's got an open court, some nice stuff could happen. So Turpin and some other schools.
Yeah, Zach, obviously a very good player, headed to Miami. Just really fun, exciting to watch. Walnut Hills coming off a state Final Four berth last year, should be very good. They have a couple interesting transfers. Macy O'Teague coming over from Summit, was a starter on their team last year. Caleb Traeger coming from another MVC school in Cincinnati Country Day. So a couple transfers that they're hoping can kind of right things after they lost so many players last year from that Final Four team. And I think Loveland's kind of an intriguing team in that Eastern Cincinnati League as well, with Reed Waddell and Cole Cloud, a really nice player.
Yeah, nice shooter.
Yep, should be competitive in that league.
Now let's talk a little bit about my high school, Roger Bacon. What are your thoughts? I know what my thoughts are. I'll let you go ahead and run with it.
Well, I think it's a very experienced group. They've played now. This group has played in 2 straight regional finals, but the program's coming off 3 straight regional final teams. This group of seniors have played a lot of basketball together. You start with Carlos Jackson, a really exciting player, good shooter, can put it on the deck, get to the basket. You've also got Austin Frensos, their lockdown defender, just a really fun, hard-nosed, exciting player to watch. Fred Moore, I think, is a really big key for them this year, about a 6'5", 6'6" post player. Really improved a lot last year. And I think if they can get consistent minutes from him all year long and some leadership out of him, I think they could go a long way, and Fred Moore could have a lot to say about that. Division III, I think, is going to be really interesting. Again, in Southwest Ohio, it was extremely competitive last year. We kind of saw from the beginning, Roger Bacon and Summit were kind of setting up for the regional semifinal showdown.
It was a great game.
Great game. Roger Bacon came and played outstanding, ended up winning. Everybody thought that Roger Bacon was going to get over that hump and win that regional final game, but Versailles came in an outstanding team from up north. And I really think it's going to come down to those 3 schools again. Versailles has a really exciting player in Kyle Arns.
Yeah, we're talking about him.
And, I think they're going to be really tough to beat again. But I think under Brian Neal, and he's been there several times to the regionals, under Brian Neal, though, this could be his best chance to finally get back to that Final Four, the last one being in that 2002 state championship when they beat LeBron.
Absolutely. And that's, I'm thinking Roger Bacon might make that state championship game there. I'm hoping.
I think they got a great chance this year.
And we were talking a little bit too about Hughes. I know Woodward's got a new coach with Paul McMillan. Withrow's always tough, but you were talking pretty highly about Hughes as well.
Yeah, Hughes had a magical run last year. One of the great runs that their program's had. It's been about 50 years since they had been to the regionals, and they've got 8 players back from that team. Brian Wyatt's doing a really nice job at Hughes High School. They've got a brand new gym, and it's just a program on the upswing. You like to see programs with a lot of tradition from the past come back and have a lot of excitement, bring it to their community. I think Hughes has a really good shot in Division II again to make a run.
There's a lot of exciting basketball in our area and a lot of exciting teams. And definitely, I want to get you back on because we've got through the course of the season, we're going to talk a lot about high school basketball. Definitely going to do something with your book as well. Yeah. Before everybody leaves, they have to sign the basketball. So we need your autograph.
I need to practice signing for all these books I'm getting ready to sign.
No, this is good practice for you. And, the other thing we like to do is we ask every guest our Jay-Z question. And Rick did such a great job of breaking down the song, the lyrical, the emotional feel to it. Didn't you, Rick? Yep. So now
I just can't match up to Rick Broering, though. High expectations.
So let's go ahead and we'll go with the Jay-Z Unplugged album. How about that?
It's been a while. But I've listened to it.
Okay. What's your favorite Jay-Z song?
Oh, my gosh. Name some for me, and I'll give you an answer.
Oh, man.
I know I'm disappointing you, Meach, but see, I'm not as hip as I used to be. Life has kind of happened for me, kids and jobs, and I know that that's Jay-Z's your thing.
I grew up in that whole generation.
And I really like Jay-Z. I think he's a talented guy, but I haven't listened to him. I haven't been up on him as much as I used to be.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to let you slide on it, but what I'll tell you is go download the Magna Carta Holy Grail.
Okay.
Which is his newest album.
Write that down.
You write that.
Magna Carta.
You got that?
I got it.
I want you to check that album. When you come back on, I'm going to quiz you.
All right.
We want to thank everybody out there for watching Center Court. Check back in with us. We're going to have some exciting guests, some new episodes coming up, more on high school basketball in the area. Thanks for watching.